Today, we're going to tell you the story of one of the most famous brands in the world. A brand so well known that you don't even need to say its name. The moment its logo appears, everyone knows what you're talking about. But few people know that its story began with a young man who built a brand called Nike from a small garage. The story of Nike started with a boy named Phil Knight. His father was a newspaper publisher and expected his son to follow in his footsteps. So Phil majored in journalism at the University of Oregon. But it was there that he found his true love. His heart started pounding, his body felt weak. You think there was a girl involved? Yeah, that's usually how it goes, but this time, Phil fell in love with the university's running track. He joined the university's track and field team and began training under his coach, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman wasn't just an ordinary track coach. He was an obsessive inventor when it came to running shoes. He would constantly take his athletes' shoes apart, tweak them, and sew them back together to make them lighter. His most famous experiment? He took his wife's waffle maker, melted some rubber, and poured it into the waffle maker. Did the waffle maker give him a baby waffle? No. Instead, it gave him a lightweight, grooved sole whose textured design made runners faster and lighter on their feet. That experiment later became the legendary waffle trainer, one of the most iconic shoes in Nike's history. Phil graduated in 1959, and instead of following his father's plan into journalism, he decided to take a new path. One full of risk, excitement, and a brand new world. So he went on to one of America's top universities, the Stanford Graduate School of Business. There, for his thesis, he came up with a brilliant idea. He noticed that German brands like Adidas and Puma dominated the US market, but Japan after World War II, with its affordable, high-quality cameras and radios, was taking over the world. He thought, what if Japanese athletic shoes could do the same? Could they beat Adidas and Puma? He wrote his thesis around that idea and titled it, "Can Japanese sports shoes do to German shoes what Japanese cameras did to German cameras?" In 1962, Phil graduated from Stanford. A few months later, he boarded a plane to Japan to turn his idea into reality. There, he met with executives from Onitsuka Tiger and signed a deal, then quickly returned to the US. Now he needed to build a real company to sell those shoes. But Phil knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed someone who understood both athletics and footwear, and that person was none other than his old coach, Bill Bowerman. Together, they founded Blue Ribbon Sports, setting up their first office in a small garage in Eugene, Oregon. Why blue ribbon? In American culture, a blue ribbon symbolizes being the best. It's given to first-place winners in contests and fairs. So Blue Ribbon Sports meant athletes who were always winners, a perfect name to start their journey. After founding the company, Phil used to load the shoes in the trunk of his car and drive to college practices to sell them directly to athletes. Sales gradually increased, and Blue Ribbon started gaining fame. But there was a problem. They relied completely on the Japanese company Onitsuka. A small disagreement could ruin everything. And that's exactly what happened. Phil found out they were looking for another US distributor. Everything could have ended right there. But this was when Phil and Bowerman decided, together with their small team, to create their own brand. Still, something was missing, a name. They were about to order their first batch of shoes, but they didn't even know what to print on the boxes. Then one night, one of their team members, Jeff Johnson, had a dream. In his dream, a goddess descended from the sky, with great wings and golden lights surrounding her. Her name was Nike. In Greek mythology, the goddess of victory and speed, exactly what Phil and Bowerman dreamed of. Shoes that were light and made runners faster. After finding the name, it was time for a logo, but they didn't have much money left to hire a professional designer, so they looked for a young graphic design student. Eventually, a girl named Carolyn Davidson took on a project. The result was a simple, curved line inspired by the wings of the goddess Nike. Phil paid her $35 for the design and used it on their brand. Soon, that symbol got its name, Swoosh. A word that mimics the sound of something rushing through the air, like a car or a ball speeding past you. Back then, no one could have imagined that this simple curve would one day appear on millions of shoes and cloths around the world. But the dream came true. Nike became one of the world's most famous brands. Years later, when Nike succeeded, Phil Knight didn't forget that young designer. At a ceremony, he thanked Carolyn Davidson, gave her a gold ring with the Swoosh logo, and a number of Nike shares, which later became worth millions of dollars. Phil said, back then, none of us knew what this design would become, but now we know. It was worth more than anything. And that's the story of how Nike was born. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow Time Warriors, and until the next video, goodbye.